Thanks very much. I've worked in the CRM space now for in excess of 18 years, helping various organisations of sizes, complexities and diversities in their operations. The range of users is from 50 to 14,000 implementation in the CRM space, but the amount of end users is not really of consequence because the framework of delivery for a successful CRM is largely following the same pattern, which is what I try and advise organisations when I'm invited in to help them. Unfortunately, more and more of my work to date is helping CRM programs that are not in the best shape. They are in a state of flux. They're in flight, have been going for possibly 12 months, and the end users and the senior directors and board level are not seeing the benefits, are not buying into CRM as a program, and therefore people start to question, is it the right thing to continue? Is it going to deliver to what the business needs? And is the cost going to continue to escalate, where some programs, obviously the cost is important, the quality of what's being delivered is important, and some of the areas I'm going to cover briefly are really just high-level areas that can really help if you start to focus on these things to start with. So my work when I go into an organisation is really to work at the strategic level to start with, and some of the speakers you've heard from today have touched on some of these elements. But what's important? What's the organisation trying to achieve with its CRM when it's implemented it? What does it want to look differently for the organisation in a year, 2 years, 5 years' time? What does that look like? So I centre very much on what's the purpose? Why are you doing this? We can break down the detailed functionality with the end users after that, but what is the scope of what you're trying to achieve? Once that's clear, we then tend to look at the business case. So has the business case been factored in a way that sets out very clearly what the scope to set everybody's expectations of this program? What is that scope? What is it going to take to deliver a quality implementation? So then make sure that the business case has all the attributes it needs, including costings, which are appropriate for the skilled resources you may need. The business will need to be heavily involved in the implementation as we go through. So factor that in with resources that may need to be accommodated outside of their normal business work to spend time on the CRM program. So then looking at getting that agreed at board level, and that should then be brought into at every level of the business and shared at a certain level with the senior management teams that are going to have the CRM introduced to their operations and the end users. Now, a lot of the projects and programs that are failing are due to the fact that they're being led by the IT itself, the technology. So they're either being led by the IT internal teams, and they take a lead role in the architecture, they take a lead role in protecting their current environments, because this will be something new coming their way that possibly they haven't dealt with cloud applications before. So there's a real nervousness there in how they approach this. So you need to bring them along with the journey, but it must be made clear that the CRM implementation is a business transformation program. It's not an IT, put a bit of kit on the desk and turn it on program. You need to get buy-in, you need to get adoption. And to help with that, the focus has to be on the change management. It's key that you have a solution like Dynamics that's very flexible and can provide many businesses with a richness of functionality and data and reporting. But if you have that sitting on someone's desk and they're not prepared to use it, they've not bought into it, they're not adding that richness of data to the system as part of their operations, then it really is an expensive piece of kit with lots of whizzy functionality that will never be realised and never bring the return on investment. So it's really key to centre on the change element, and that change covers all sorts of areas. It covers communications, it covers the business requirements process and getting people involved early in the program. It's the training, it's the testing, it's the quality. It really is everything that is non-IT. And I don't class testing as an IT function, and I'm sure Peter will agree with that. It's making sure that the scope of the program that was provided in the business case is actually being delivered at the end in terms of richness of capability for the organisation to perform better, more efficiently, and get market lead with their competitors. And to that end, I normally have a framework that I introduce that ensures that the work streams and the governance of a program is set up correctly. So the change management work stream will have many strands to that. The data work stream will run in tandem, and the IT and development work streams, which are invariably offered by external consultancies and system integrators of varying degrees and sizes. It's important to have that involvement right the way through the whole of the journey of the implementation. So I make sure that the framework that I introduce is something that I've used time and time again. It's tweaked and tailored to the organisation, but basically it means that every work stream is brought along at the earliest possible stage and not left to the end of the journey. So for instance, we don't get the IT and developers going off into a darkened room and coming back and producing something which the business users will only see at the point of UAT. It's important to bring them along, have regular show and tells with the business users that have contributed towards the requirements, making them feel comfortable. They will go back to their teams, and their management in turn will start to feel comfortable with the program, and the buy-in and the change management piece will naturally flow from those type of events. Equally, the trainers make sure they are heavily involved to start with and working in tandem with the business analysts. As the requirements are being gathered, let the training team understand what it's going to look like. Let them be involved in making sure they've got their materials and approach so they can have that in turn approved by the appropriate stakeholders. And all this can be done in a very clear way with governance at the heart of it, but making sure that the business understand and the senior management teams understand it's a business transformation program. An example of which is I've just helped a very large insurance company in the UK, and the first thing I asked their board of directors was, give me your understanding of what we are delivering and why for this particular program. And I had 10 different answers, and 2 of the board couldn't answer. So there was an invitation from me to go away and understand and work collaboratively together to understand what the CRM outcome should look like. And if you haven't got clarity in what that looks like, then you can't possibly deliver a successful CRM. And there's some of the main elements I would focus on. I would also suggest that some of the external consultants often get a bad name. They're often the whipping boys. If things are going wrong and if the testing is showing bugs, they will be the first people that point fingers at. Bring those external consultancies along with you. It should be a collaboration, it should be a partnership. If they are successful, you are successful, and the organisation gets what it needs. There should be an area where people can just get together, have honest conversations, and if things cannot be done in a technical way that's required by the business, then talk about those options. Be very open with your sponsors, be very open in your communications, and play back some of those challenges for the business themselves to be part of the solution. And I think that transparency, the change management emphasis, and bringing people along with the journey, all leads to be a successful implementation. And the budget and scope is then something which you will find will naturally be adhered to, and you won't be straying too much from what's been agreed in the business case. Thanks for your time. Hopefully that was helpful, and I'll pass you back.